Kung Fu Havoc number 2. I am your host, Echo Fan Grey Wolf. I'm about to go live on Instagram. Just gotta set that there. Okay, so we're waiting for Instagram to have a connection. I'm gonna put all my stuff behind here. Okay. We got Instagram. I hope you guys can see me. So here's the thing. I often like to talk about martial arts. I also like to talk about professionals and weapons. I hope you can hear me over the noise. So for the average person, this is a broomstick. So martial arts, this is a weapon. There are many different ways that you can use this broomstick as a weapon, especially if you've been taught any fighting form with the bow staff. So, or with the pike, or with the Kwon Do, or with anything that is long range. So, you can move it here, block, block, strike, block, block, you can strike. Now, I want to point out a few misconceptions, because a lot of people don't really address this shit. 9 times out of 10, if you have a long range weapon in your hand, you are rarely going to use your feet. Alright? And a lot of people are going to say, we're going to call bullshit on that. That's fine. You can call whatever you want. But I'm going to let you know, if I have this stick, and you get past, then I got to use my feet. But understand that this thing has range. Alright? So unless I really, really suck at working a bow staff, I shouldn't have to use my feet. So here's the thing about weapon combat versus freeform, no weapon. Alright? With this weapon, yes, it's a broomstick, but with this weapon, I got as much range as my arm allows. I got as much range as my strength allows me to hold this thing up. That goes both directions. As a guy who's only 5'3.5", I can tell you right now, I would prefer to fight with my hands and my feet. But if I have to use a weapon, it's probably too late. Negotiations are over, and I gotta fucking put it into you because I have a weapon in my hand. The point of having a weapon in your hand is not for show. Alright? So yes, I love Wushu. I am no longer allowed to use it, so I can base on it. Alright? I love Wushu. Wushu's like one of my favorite martial arts. Alright? So, now that I'm no longer allowed to do Wushu, I can talk about it as it being a showman's art, because most martial arts, once they become televised, they become a showman's martial art. Now, with the exception of MMA. Alright? Because MMA is slightly brutal, and if you're not into brutality, MMA is probably not for you. Competition martial arts, Taekwondo, Wushu, Karate, things where you get medals and rewards and championships, they've all become more showman martial arts, especially Taekwondo and Wushu. But when you happen to be in a fight, and you have this weapon in hand, and you strike, and you strike, and you strike, and you strike, most of the time those people are coming in at you. Alright? If they've gotten past this, and my guard is down, and I don't block here or here, or here or here, if I don't block right or left, and my central line is open, I'm pretty much gonna get my ass kicked. Even if I got this damn stick because I screwed up. So, I say this a lot, and I say this often, and I will do another live Instagram tonight after work. Right now, I'm kind of waiting for somebody to get something delivered to their house. Your hand game and your foot game are far more important than any weapon game you have. Alright? I'm gonna get a lot of flack from this from a lot of martial artists, but you ain't always walking around with a broomstick or a bow staff in your hand. You're not. You're not always walking around with nunchucks. You're not always walking around with a sword or any form of weapon. Now, you may have a knife. I don't know too many people who don't have a knife. I don't have a knife on me at this moment, but there is a knife in my vehicle. In like the back, in the glove box, the fucking, wherever my tools are, there's a knife in there. It has a dragon on it. anyway, I don't really believe in carrying weapons for the simple fact that a weapon can be taken from you at any time if you screw up. So let's say I swing, and the guy I'm swinging at knows how to take a hit from the stick, which if you've been trained properly, that fatty part on your arm, you know, if you're a bodybuilder, we call them wings. That right there is probably the best way you can take a hit and not get much broken or damaged. Where if you take it in the rib or the kidney, or if you take it on the other side and you take it in the rib, the kidney, or the liver, you're gonna have some fucking problems. But if you take that shit up here, right, in this little area, in that little fatty part, and you lock and take it, now you got my stick. And now I have a problem. Because I might not know that same technique. Alright, now, before anybody asks, yes, I have field tested and boom, boom. Now the problem is, field testing it in slow motion is not always the same as field testing it in fast motion. Fast motion hurts more. Alright? I field tested it with those pugils. You know, I had my cousin swing the pugil because I wanted the pugil to hit me. It missed. And it hurt when that fucking wooden stick hits in here. But anybody who tells you that getting hit by any weapon doesn't hurt, they're lying to you, or they've never been hit by a weapon. Anyone who tells you that getting kicked in the face doesn't hurt, they are lying to you, or they've never been kicked in the face. Getting kicked in the face hurts. Let me rephrase that. Getting hit anywhere doing a martial art, anything, fucking hurts. It is not that fantasy shit you see in the movies where, and you leap over that shit, you're standing on my shit. Yeah, if I'm strong enough to keep you there, and you're strong enough to stand there and run down this bitch and kick me in the face, okay, two things. One, I deserve to get kicked in the face, because if I swing, and you're standing on this bitch, and I don't try to shake you off or jack that bitch from your feet, that makes me a complete battlefield idiot. Alright? There are some things that even if they deny the laws of physics, they should not deny the laws of common fucking sense. So, we're in this badass kung fu movie. Okay, we know it's a movie. Here's reality. If I swing this bitch and you are light as a feather, and you stand on this bitch, and run down there and strike me in the face, I deserve every bit of it. Because if I'm swinging and you stand on it, and my dumb ass don't do this, or wipe it around and come back, I deserve to have my ass kicked. This is the thing about being in a fucking fight. There are things that are gonna happen that you have no control over. No fight is preordained. Alright? Understand that shit. You are in a fight, you are in a fight. It is for your life. You fight to survive, don't fight for a victory. Understand that shit. Now if you're in like sporting competition or you're an athlete, yeah, you're fighting for a victory because that's what you do. But if you're in an actual fight, I swing this bitch. I'm not swinging this shit to play with you. I'm swinging this shit to put your ass down for the fucking count. Now, on the flip side of that, if you don't have a weapon and you take mine and beat the living shit out of me, I deserve that shit. Because I brought this weapon to a fight with somebody who was actually a better person at martial arts than me. Now, this is where shit gets complicated. Might not have been a better martial artist. Might have just been better that day. You know? That might be the only day that person can ever kick your ass. And 9 times out of 10 it was because they were scared as fuck that they were gonna die. Those are your standard swings with your bow staff. So here and here, same thing. Boom, boom. Now from here, boom, boom, boom. Those are your strikes and your blocks. Block, 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 block. That block high, that block low. You've got to protect your central line. If you're not doing any of that, you have a problem. Everybody's telling you not to protect your central line. You probably should not be teaching martial arts. That's just like class of pain 101. When you first learn martial arts, they tell you from the jump, this is your lifeline. Everything in the center can unalive your shit if you were hit properly. I'm not talking about keeping a Goku or Way of the Fang or any of that other shit that you see me do in movies. I do not know if the death touch exists. I'm not going to say it does. I'm not going to say it don't. I will say that shit happens. Because that's about as far as I can carry that. Because if anybody's died from a blow to the chest, they probably were already going to have a heart attack or something. Or you broke their breastbone and you pierced their heart. I mean, shit like that can definitely happen because nobody knows how tough your chest bone is until somebody, like, caves the bitch in. You know? Nobody knows that. Plus, your rib cage and everything, if that shit gets broken, you're gonna fucking know. So that's why they teach you how to block. So if you're gonna block with your arm, you want to block with the fattiest part of your arm, like right here, because either way you can still be damaged. But up here, the shit can probably break faster. But if you block down here, you don't want to block with the elbow. You want to block with the fat. Now if you got to get it on the side, you still want to block with the fat. Now, for those who don't understand that, it's the same thing when they teach you kickboxing or Muay Thai. Let me put this drum down. Okay, so that fat, why you think when they kick in sports they kick here and here and they don't really kick here? Because it's easier to damage here. So if you're going to get into a fight and you throw a jab and I punch down in here, I'm probably just going to piss you off. But if you throw a jab and I sidestep and I pull your wrist and push your elbow until the bone protrudes through this side, that's pretty much going to incapacitate you long enough for me to either get the fuck away or finish the job. So, understanding how that works, if you're throwing a round kick and I block it like this, I'm good. If I block it like this and take it on the side, I'm still good. Unless that round kick spins my ass around, because it can happen if that person's a little bit bigger or a little bit stronger. Block it Muay Thai style, and they hit you hard enough that it spins you this way. Now they've opened you up. Alright? And I don't mean that you're leaking. I just mean they kicked you this way, which gave you an open hit right here. So their kick will look boom, and then they can tag you. So you have to understand that those things do happen in fights too. Which is also why if I go for this round kick and you decide to beat me to the punch, because my foot's here, which leaves my left leg open, and you slide in and give me a front foot sweep. Because that would be a logical thing, unless there's no time, which means you have to block that shit. Or step back. There's always a way to avoid contact. You just have to be taught it. Alright? And if you're not being taught it, then you're not going to learn it. So, in a lot of schools of martial arts, you are learned by course and not by force. But when you get out in the streets, you learn new shit by force, not by course. Alright, let me explain that, because that's a military saying for those who do not understand. Okay. Hello there. Sorry, I was talking. By force or by course? Alright. By course means it's the natural flow of your learning process. By force means you're going to learn the fucking hard way. Welcome to the school of hard knocks. Now, here's the thing on that. If you have to learn the hard way, sometimes it's the best way to learn. I don't recommend learning the hard way, but some of us aren't, I don't know, I don't want to say anybody's dumb. Some of us aren't well-rounded enough to understand that the School of Hard Knocks has its perks, but they fucking hurt. Alright? But it doesn't hurt to know every aspect of a fight. It doesn't hurt to be well-rounded in every fucking martial art that you can find. And I'm not saying you gotta go and put 20 years in each martial art, because there's not that much time in your lifetime. Maybe 2 to 5, if that. Maybe 1 year. If you can get like one class like for 1 year, you know, like I'm not a fan of belts. I do not like belts, because belts give you false hope. I'm gonna be honest with you. A lot of people aren't gonna like what I have to say about that shit, and I don't really give a fuck. Here's the thing. You can have a black belt and go outside of that dojo. Be the baddest dude on your block. You can beat everybody on your block because they see you training and they're a little bit worried about that shit. But that does not mean when you go to the next block that you can fuck everybody up over there. You know? Because that's a whole different aspect of shit. When I was younger, you know, a lot of people didn't really mess with me at West Haven, but I had to prove myself in places like Garrett Square and 6th Street. I never really had to deal with 1st Street people until I got like into high school. I didn't have to deal with Prospect people because I had family over there, and they knew me, they seen me training, so they most of the time didn't bother me. And sometimes that's a blessing in disguise, and sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's a curse, because sometimes when people see you training, They think that you think that you're a badass. So the first thing they want to do is try to prove that you're not. And that becomes a problem when you are a martial artist in general, because a lot of people see you training, they're like, oh, this motherfucker think he a badass. He think he Bruce Lee. Now I'm going to go over here and fuck with him. That's where the School of Hard Knocks come in. Sometimes you gotta fuck around and find out that those people that you think are badasses might actually be badasses. Now see me, I never claim to be a badass. I hold my own. If you're dumb enough to come and do something stupid to me, I'm not held responsible for what the fuck happens to you. As of now, being a vet, I know a lot more shit than I did mentally. I can't say physically, because everything that they taught me, with the exception of BJJ, I already knew when I went to the Army. Well, when I learned BJJ, I learned real quick how bad I suck at it. So I've been working on ways to defeat BJJ. And here's another policy in which I live by. I kind of recognize the style. If I can recognize the style that you're using, I can adapt and I can beat your ass. Because I'm fighting you, not the style. But if I can recognize the style, and it's a style that I have well knowledge in, there's a good chance I'm going to win this fucking fight. It also depends on where we are fighting. Sorry, I gotta watch my ass sometimes, you know. When you're out in the fucking damn places that you ain't never visited, you know, you kind of gotta be a little paranoid and hyper vigilant. And yes, the military has made me super paranoid. But the thing with martial arts is, you know, understanding how fights work is like martial arts 101, all right? And to keep that shit real, you know, you gotta understand what kicks work best in fights outside the dojo versus what works best inside the dojo. Outside the dojo, if I'm in a Wing Chun stance, I have options. I can do a Gung Fu low kick, which would just send you tripping towards me. Or if I'm really slick, I can just sidestep your shit and throw a knee and then an elbow. I'm still doing Kung Fu, just so that you guys understand. Granted, the knee was more karate than Kung Fu, but it's still Kung Fu because I use the same side. So I sidestep, I knee, I elbow, and now I turn to karate because I turned the power on. Understand? Because I switched. Instead of backhanding, I switched. The thin line between Kung Fu and karate is really fucking thin. It also depends on who teaches you and what style. If you're running at me and I'm in a standard stance, boom! That front base kick to your chin or your face or your sternum, that's going to slow you down if not stop you. Same thing with this outside inside crescent kick. Boom! That's going to put you in the direction that I want you to go. Inside the outside crescent kick. Boom! Still concept of putting you in the direction I need you to go. So let me make sure I clarify. If I'm right-handed and I want you to go to the right, I'm either setting you up for a left punch or a right knee. Now, being how your body falls is going to dictate how I make my next move, right? If your body doesn't fall, then I need to be ready for something else. But if I hit you with this crescent kick and you go here, I can leap and throw a knee. Or I can just throw a jab. Or I can throw an uppercut from the right side, because that's where I'm sitting. If I do the outside to inside, boom, boom, I can set you up for that. I can set you up for that. There's a lot of options that I have. Now, this is why I say I don't like belts. I spar with black belts. I've showed them some shit that they ain't never seen before. And I've beaten their asses. I've never lost a real fight in the streets because I mostly had to fight in the streets. This is also why I preach 70-30 all the time. Right? 70% of what you learn at dojo ain't working out here. 30% of what you learn at dojo is working out here. But you also have to know how to evolve. You have to know how to adapt. A lot of dojos don't preach adaptation or evolution. They just preach, okay, punch, 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 block, 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 block. Some do specific block, counter, break, strike, and that's where Kempo and Kung Fu kind of come in. Because if you throw a punch and I block and break and I strike, my target's going to be your throat or one of your ribs, depending on how you land. And then there's other people who do it this way, where they block and they strike, leaving this protected, but forgetting that their opponent has a left hand. Now, for karate, you generally fight inside, Alright, so block, 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 block. That's more karate even though I'm in a Wing Chun stance. For Kung Fu, when I get you out here, it's a break to an elbow and it's a strike. And though that doesn't seem like that sounds the way it sounds, but boom, and a break, I have your arm still. I have your arm. Your body's right here. I have your arm. I can pull you here. I can short elbow you. I can do a lot of shit from the outside of your body that you can't protect yourself from. Versus if I'm on the inside of your body and I block, you still have a left hand. Understand that shit. If you're a sensei and you're not teaching your children or your students or whatever the fuck you want to call them, that they have a left hand to counter your right hand, stop teaching. I'm sorry. Stop teaching. Because if I block and I go for a strike, that person's left hand is right there. They're not going to just like not let that like come across a block. Because I'm going for a back strike. I blocked your jab, I blocked it, and I can step in. But you still have a left hand, a right foot, and a left foot. I just stopped one weapon. You got 3 more. So this is why I always suggest get to the outside. Now in the event that you can't get to the outside, get far enough back where you can put some distance. So that way you can at least control the tone. Now the other thing, most important thing, let me get up here so I can preach it to you. Don't try to out-muscle your opponent. Make them fight your fight. Do not fight their fight. Because if you're trying to fight their fight, it's more than likely they're going to control the tone, which means they're going to control you, which means they're going to beat the brakes off your shit. So, the best thing that you can do is you control the tone. Now, I'm a poster boy for mixed martial arts, but I'm a poster boy mostly for Kung Fu. Because Kung Fu works for me. Alright? And I know Kung Fu is not the actual name, it's actually Gung Fu, but I call it Kung Fu because it's easier for everybody to just say it. A lot of people see G-U-N-G and they were like, what the fuck is that? Or they'll see G-O-N-G-F-U because a lot of people spell it Gung Fu, but they literally spell it Gong, G-O-N-G. So just go for what you know, but understand for me, Kung Fu works best. I'm a small guy. I have a couple of rules of thumb, and I think my package just arrived. So we're going to end the live and the video, and thank you guys very much. I'm Echo Fan Grey Wolf. This is Kung Fu Africa #2 and Instagram. Be seeing ya.